Have you ever envisioned the chilling might of water? Picture a raging torrent of water barreling through your neighborhood, morphing familiar landscapes into unrecognizable scenes of ruin. This is the grim reality of flooding, an entity as destructive as it is relentless. Flooding, the most common and devastating natural disaster we confront on this planet. It's a twisted irony of nature that the very element essential for life can, in a heartbeat, become a harbinger of death. From the tiniest brook to the most formidable river, water holds the terrifying potential to transform into a destructive entity that can annihilate communities and alter lives permanently. Water, our life's elixir, can also morph into our gravest nightmare. Now brace yourselves as we plunge into some eye-opening facts that underscore the raw devastation wrought by floods. Year after year, floods inflict immeasurable damage, with the economic toll skyrocketing into billions of dollars globally. In the United States alone, flood damage averages to around $8 billion annually. A mind-boggling sum, isn't it? But the cost isn't purely monetary. The human toll is equally, if not more, heart-wrenching. Displacement due to floods is a mammoth issue. Millions worldwide are compelled to vacate their homes annually due to surging waters. Indeed, floods top the list of reasons for global displacement, even eclipsing conflict and war. The loss of life is another agonizing consequence of flooding. Over the past decade, floods have cruelly snatched an estimated 10,000 lives globally every year. 10,000 families shattered, 10,000 futures obliterated. The environmental fallout of floods is equally profound. While floods can distribute nutrients and generate fertile land, they can also trigger severe soil erosion, degrade water quality, and disrupt ecosystems. Moreover, floods can also spawn waterborne diseases, presenting a substantial health hazard to humans and animals alike. Yet the immediate damage is just the tip of the iceberg. The aftermath can be equally calamitous. Post-flood, communities often grapple with the absence of basic amenities like clean water and electricity. Infrastructure lies in ruins, impeding relief efforts to reach those in dire need. And the recovery process can span years, even decades, leaving indelible scars on the landscape and the hearts of those impacted. Floods indeed are a ruthless force, forging a path of destruction in their wake. They are a stark testament to the might of nature and our susceptibility to it. The numbers don't lie, floods are a formidable adversary. But floods aren't merely a natural phenomenon, we humans are complicit too. Our actions significantly shape the frequency and intensity of floods. Consider deforestation. When we fell trees, we eliminate the natural sponges that absorb rainfall, increasing runoff and, consequently, the risk of flooding. Similarly, our urbanization trends are also to blame. As we erect more concrete jungles, we substitute permeable soil with impermeable surfaces, leaving rainwater with no option but to flood our drainage systems. This often results in overflow and, predictably, floods. Perhaps the most critical human factor is climate change. As we relentlessly spew greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, we're heating the planet, causing polar ice to melt and sea levels to rise. This, coupled with more extreme weather events, escalates the flood threat. We're not just flood victims, we're also contributors. So, how can we curb this destructive might of water? The solution lies in strategic planning and the power of prevention. Firstly, we have floodplain zoning. Here, we identify areas most prone to flooding and use this data to guide development, keeping vulnerable structures out of harm's way. Next, we have the construction of flood barriers. These can be physical structures like levees, dikes, and flood walls designed to restrain floodwaters. But they can also be innovative solutions like green roofs and permeable pavements that absorb rainwater and reduce runoff. Then, there's the restoration of our natural flood defenses. Wetlands act as sponges, soaking up excess water and releasing it slowly over time. Forests, too, with their deep root systems, help to stabilize soil and prevent erosion. By safeguarding and restoring these ecosystems, we not just shield ourselves against floods, but also create habitats for wildlife and enhance our air and water quality. The real power is in our hands. It's about comprehending our relationship with the environment and making informed choices to protect it and ourselves. After all, prevention always trumps cure, especially when it comes to floods. The facts are in front of you. Now it's time to spring into action. Our collective efforts can turn the tide on flooding. Immerse yourself in flood prevention knowledge. Act locally to mitigate flood risks. Remember, every action counts. Together, we can make a difference.